Good evening. I hope you're doing really well. A bit of an impromptu live this evening, and that's because I've done some more research today, and I think it's important that I come on and do a little bit of a live this evening before I carry on with my research and hopefully getting the emails out, or the documents out, sorry, to everybody on emails tomorrow. And some of the stuff I've found today is absolutely mind-blowing. Now, they've removed my last video from YouTube, which was showing public information. So it should not have been removed at all. And that was in relation to the links into the apparent crimes against children. Overwhelming evidence tying into the government, to the police, linking into the intelligence agencies, into actual cases of historical crimes against children. And they've removed the video from YouTube. So what I need to do, everybody to do now, at every opportunity, is when I'm doing lives, can people please screen record it somehow? Whether that means they get a second device and they record me showing the evidence and then re-upload it. Okay, we need to stop them silencing my evidence. It is the most critical evidence on earth at the moment. And I'm not saying that just to, get people to watch or anything like that. It is so important. We need to get this evidence out to people, and they're removing my videos. So the last video I did, which they removed, we were talking about the Mind Group, okay, which is a mental health charity that was originally founded in I don't know if my finger's over the mic, was originally founded in 1946, okay, which ties in with loads of other stuff that was going on. It's when UNICEF was also started, which links into the United Nations, and that ties in with criminal United Nations organizations. And then we looked at various aspects of mind, and we concluded with a little bit of information that we're looking at here, that Stephen Fry succeeded Melvin Bragg as the president of Mind. So what I've done is some research on Stephen Fry. Okay, so we're going to look at Stephen Fry, and again, it's pretty overwhelming what I found. So I'm just going to read some information on Stephen Fry here first of all, if I can find it. Where's this bit that I started? That's his Wikipedia. Should be another bit before then. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah, it's because it's got his middle name there. So he's the current, according to the information, the current president of Mind Group. Okay, now I'm almost certain what they're doing is they're using the mental health charities such as Mind to actually control, using various techniques, humanity. Okay, to be able to exploit, victimize humanity in experimenting on most people involving these mental health charities. There's overwhelming evidence to suggest that. So Stephen John Fry was born on the 24th of August 1957 in the Hampstead area of London. Now that in itself is very likely going to be relevant, because you have the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry, which obviously took place in that general area, and that was where two children were both claiming that their father, Ricky Dearman, was the head of the ringleader of a child crime network, where they were not only involved in sexual abuse and the raping of those children and many more, according to these two children who said exactly the same thing in an interview, but also they were making the children take part in the decapitation of babies and the drinking of children's blood. Okay, now we're actually going to come through and see links in my research, especially coming in from the supposed death of George Floyd, okay, which hopefully I'm not going to be on too long tonight, because I really need to be up at a reasonable time to get this document done tomorrow. But so I might just do the Stephen Fry evidence and then do the evidence on the new evidence on the George Floyd tomorrow, or something like that, or the day after. So he was born in Hampstead. He's the son of historian Marianne Eve Fry, according to this, and a physicist and inventor, Alan John Fry. He has an older brother, Roger, and a younger sister, Joanna. His paternal grandmother, Ellen Fry, had roots in Cheshire and Kent. Now, Kent's important. It's where I'm from, and it's where the Doomsday cult, linking in with Julian Assange and a Doomsday, the cult that was in Australia, they had properties in Kent. Okay, it also links in with Hollywood in Kent, because Ridley Scott's brother, that links to the research from my mother's employee lived in Chatham, the same town that I was born in. Okay, and all of this, and it's all massively around me for whatever reason, everything that's going on now, and around my families. So the Fry family originate around the Shillingstone and Blandford areas of Dorset. Now, Dorset's very important, okay? Many of you will know from my evidence that's where I transferred to in the police without knowing anybody at all. And my wife's family who live down there, and my brother-in-law's family who has connections, are all linked together, linked to David Icke, Jimmy Savile, Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, very, very closely, all linking in with them, Julian Assange, the Doomsday Cult, the main Freemason Lodge, connections into the MK Ultra program, Knights Templar locations, all linking in to all three of my families, and the apparent infiltration of the royal family. There's links into the royals, and there's links into the Vaticans from all three areas of these families that I was brought up with and married into, etc. So we've got a connection to Dorset here, which is where Deborah Fleming was also the NHS chief executive that resigned from the NHS in around March 2022 as I was making the inquiries at Exbourne Manor. And she initiated my removal after I continued to refuse to use forged bank documents being produced by Lloyd's Bank, it seems, from the evidence. She initiated my removal as a director from a company called Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. So anyway, we have a connection to Stephen Fry, to Dorset and his family. In his autobiographical writings and elsewhere, Fry has claimed a relationship to the Fry family that founded the eponymous chocolate company. John Fry, one of the signatories to the death warrant of Charles I and cricketer C.B. Fryer, but I need to look into that. I haven't looked into that side of things. Fry's mother is Jewish. Now, there's irrefutable links into the Jewish faith groups in all of this, but it does seem as though they've been infiltrated by another group to make it look like it's the Jewish religion behind all of this, when actually, because what that would do is it would fit the falsified prophecies that it appears they're trying to funnel the money into, and the collider technology and everything, and how that all ties in with all of this, okay, and how they're laundering the money from everybody. So his Fry's mother was Jewish, but he was not brought up in a religious family. His maternal grandmothers, Martin and Rosa Newman, were Hungarian Jews who emigrated from Suriname, which is now in Slovakia, in 1927. Rosa's parents, who originally lived in Vienna, were deported to a Nazi ghetto in Riga, where they were killed. His mother's aunt and cousins were sent to Auschwitz and Stutthof and never seen again. Now, this now ties in with the Nazi deception as well, it seems, which is so massive in all of this international government fraud and what's been going on. This goes right back to the Reformation, when they had a German company started printing religious material around the world in the 13th century. This is okay. So that was just the bit of research in relation to Stephen Fry. Here's his Wikipedia, just where I've got some of this information there. And if you don't know who he is, there's the picture of him. Now we're going to go to the all-important Companies House records in relation to Stephen Fry and see where this leads. Now, bearing in mind, remember, he was is the president of Mind, where we found absolutely mind-blowing evidence coming in from the crimes against children in all of this. Okay, we were looking at the Feversham historical child abuse inquiries, and prior to that, I was looking at the crimes in relation to, I can't remember his name, but one of the head teachers of a school elsewhere, where they were claiming that there's potentially 40 years of child abuse, and that then linked into connections into CERN and into the Fleming family connections as well, like almost immediately from that. So let's go back to the document. Please record this if you can. Try and record this yourself somehow so that you can then re-upload it. We need to keep this evidence circulating the world. So a Companies House search shows a record for Stephen Fry connected to 13 companies, including Sprout Pictures Films Limited, that was incorporated in 2008, which is the same year that the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva was first started and activated, and it dissolved. This company dissolved in 2023 as I escalated the exposure of the fraud. It connects immediately to the fraud by registrations online limited on its incorporation documents. We'll just go into the record so you can see it. So here's his name. It's the same date of birth. And then we've got all of these different companies. We're going to look in sort of 2 or 3 of them. And there we've got Sprout Picture Films. I think that was the one I went into. Let me just check that. I think it was the films one, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was that one. So if we go into that one, you can see. So he was appointed in 2008. That's when, I can't remember when, it might have been around August actually. I can't remember when the Large Hadron Collider was first activated in Geneva. And then you can see the company, like so many of them, have dissolved as I was exposing it. So 2023 is when I was really starting to find out a lot about what was going on and starting to really expose the fraud element and all of this. And of course, this isn't long after Nicola Bulley went missing in early 2023, which is 100% to do with all of this. Now, I think I remember some of this from earlier, so I'll just do it. So if you can see, we've got Gina Rosalind Carter, who's connected to the company. If we go into her, you can see 18 companies. And within there, you've got Moon Boy. Now, if I went into every single one, I'd find loads and loads of evidence. But let's just go into this one that we looked at. You can see she was appointed on the 21st of October, 2001. Well, that is 8 days before the death of Jimmy Savile, which is all related. Okay, so we're going to go into Moon Boy. And you can see the actual company was incorporated that same date that she was appointed. So Jimmy Savile supposedly died on the 29th of October 2011. This is the same year that the Christchurch earthquake occurred on the 22nd of February 2011, which is all related and connected to this, everybody. And you can see, as I've continued the exposure, the company has dissolved on the 22nd of April 2025. You can see Television Centre, so it's linked to the entertainment industry, obviously. And I'll just make sure I know where I'm going from this point. Gina Rosalind, yeah, I've done that bit. As exposure. Oh, yeah. So it has Charles House on its address, on its incorporation document. Right. They love to put little clues. So that will be, I'm pretty sure, a reference to King Charles, which is all connected into all of this. And Jonathan Jeffrey Merrill connects this company to 27, including Alan Partridge Limited. Okay. So what was the surname? Jeffrey Merrill. So if we go into Merrill, so it's not, I haven't even looked in all of these other names yet. This is just the second name on the list. Now notice 17 companies, notice Baby Cow, all of these Baby Cow names. Okay, and then suddenly amongst it, you have Lost Child Limited. Okay, but we're going to come back to that in a minute. So Baby Cow. Now bearing in mind, there's a lot of suggestion they treat humanity like cattle. Okay, now what would a baby cow potentially symbolize? Children as part of that cattle system. Okay, now we've got Alan Partridge Limited. You know Alan Partridge, I'm sure, from the entertainment industry again. You can see these resignations, look, 2025 from this company, Baby Cow Films. 2025, look, they're resigning from the companies. If we go into, please record this. If you can, record this and you need to re-upload this yourself because the chances are they're going to remove this video, everybody. So let me just see where I went with it. But most of them are Baby Cows companies with Lost Child Limited amongst them, where they had been appointed in 2016 when the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed. And they resigned on the 9th of October, 8 days after my release from prison. So if we just go into that Lost Child one, you can see it. So all these Baby Cow ones, and then suddenly amongst it, you have the Lost Child. So here you can see they were appointed 2016, which is when the Pizzagate scandal, which links to the crimes of the children again, and the apparent skinning of children alive, torturing children alive, and murdering and unaliving children, which will all be tied into your money through the taxation system, everybody. All right, the whole system is set up around exploiting you and your money, stealing it from you, funneling it into their agendas and using it for their very sinister addictions and crimes against children, according to all of the research. And it is quite overwhelming evidence. Okay. You can see as I've said, they resigned from the company on the 9th of October 2025, which was 8 days after I was released from prison. And there's loads of things happening. You can see as I was arrested, when I was released, all of the other things. I think I'm very lucky, very fortunate. Well, it's actually divine intervention, I believe, that got me out of prison. So let's look at Lost Child Limited. The actual company was incorporated in September 2012. Now, that's the same year that CERN supposedly discovered the Higgs boson or God particle on the 4th of July that year. September is also when they started coming out, which is all connected, everybody, coming out with the evidence surrounding the Hillsborough disaster. For the first time, they started publicizing the evidence, even though the Hillsborough disaster occurred in 1989, years and years earlier, which is when the CERN was the World Wide Web was created for CERN. Okay, so it looks as though they were waiting to see what happened with what they were doing with CERN on the 4th of July before they then come out and released any evidence in relation to the Hillsborough disaster. Now, if you're not aware, that was a football disaster where many, many people died because the gates didn't seem to be opened in the right way by the police to allow people out after a fire in the stalls, I believe, which caused many, many deaths. Now, I actually have to say, I'm sorry to say this, but all of the evidence suggests that was deliberate. Okay, tying in with this, there's even companies that were set up, criminal companies around the Hillsborough disaster at the time to enable the money to be funneled through from that investigation through into their criminal network. And it was the most expensive, I think, criminal investigation involving the Independent Office for Police Conduct at the time. So you can see the company was originally incorporated as a different name on the 10th of September. You can see it was New Inco, and then it changed its name 10 days later. Only had that name for 10 days. Okay, 2012 is also important. Bear in mind, you've got the Higgs boson or God particle was supposedly discovered by CERN. I suspect they were trying to do something else, but it didn't work. Okay, and they had to claim as though they were doing that. It did something other than what they were aiming for, because within three months prior to the 4th of July, 2012 is when, and it's no coincidence, the 4th of July either, with bearing in mind the American importance in all of that. Anyway, less than 3 months prior to that, there's articles, information where Jeffrey Epstein held a meeting with CERN scientists and Stephen Hawking. And we're actually going to come to Jeffrey or potential references to Jeffrey Epstein in the evidence as we go through in this. But I might not, I might have to do this in stages because I really don't want to be on too long. So let's go back into where I was with this. Lost Child Limited was incorporated on the 10th of September 2012, and its name was changed for the only time 10 days later. That's right. Olswang director companies are in the People record, making the connection to the Olswang company that links quickly to Jimmy Savile, Donald Trump, the main Freemason Lodge, spelling wrong there, the royal family, which I believe are fake royals, and the evidence suggesting Prince Harry may have been wearing the skin of Madeleine McCann at the time of Jeffrey Epstein's arrest in July 2019, as shown throughout my document. I have to suspect and consider that the baby cow references relate to the children being slaughtered in all of this. I'm sorry to say, and I know that's graphic and difficult to hear. And just to show you the Olswang companies, and if you have my company document, which if you email me, you'll be able to get it soon, you'll be able to see where the Olswang reference comes into this and links in with Donald Trump and Jimmy Savile. So there you go. You can see the Olswang Kozak. And we actually come to a Kozak company again in a minute from the research. I think it's from George Floyd. It might be further on in relation to this. I can't remember, but you're going to see a Kozak link in a while. So just having a quick look at this. Actually, I didn't check these. You've got Current Films UK. Please record this, everybody, if you can. They're probably going to remove it for me. They may even remove my channel. Just having a quick look at this. But I need to keep trying to get that out. You can see some other company names here with the same or very similar. These are shell company creations where they just change the number part, which goes against company's house's own guidelines. Okay, they literally change one number. We're not supposed to have two companies that are similar or identical. Well, that would be very similar, wouldn't it? If you just change one number in that, then it's almost identical. So let's go back to the research that we're looking at with Stephen Fry. Referring back to Carter, they also connect to Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts, where they resigned in 2024 as the exposure continued. The company was incorporated, spelling mistake. I always do that with incorporated, seem to, in the important year of 1990. Okay, that's the year after CERN, the World Wide Web was created for CERN. It's the year of which is all connected, everybody, the Gulf War, which then ended in February 1991, which is the year that David Icke then came out and said the world would be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis. It's all linked into this, everybody. Referring back to the record of Stephen Fry, he also connects to Theatre Share PLC that was incorporated on the 21st of September 2001, 10 days after the related World Trade Center disaster, and it dissolved in June 2010, the same year that CERN Limited was incorporated on Companies House. And CERN Limited has dissolved since I've been exposing the connections to the collider technology. It was actually before I was really starting to make all of those connections, but I think they were panicking that I was going to make that link, and they then dissolved the company in 2024 last year because it was obvious I was going to find the links to the collider technology with where I was heading with all of this. And I think they knew that potentially there was something about me that was going to uncover it all. It connects immediately to the fraud and the research of the Kennedy assassination and the Royals by Harbottle and Lewis on its incorporation document, as shown elsewhere in my document. Okay, so this is Stephen Fry, this company. I'll just show it to you quickly, just so we're there. So just so you've seen it. Now, I haven't even gone into all of Stephen Fry's companies. So we'll just go back to the record of Stephen Fry, which would be here, I think, at the top. Yeah. And then it was in, which one was it? The Liverpool, Theatre Share. Here we go. So there you go. You can see he was appointed to it when the company began. So that's not long after the World Trade Center disaster. The disaster was on the 11th of September 2001. So it's just over a month later. And you can see the company dissolved in June 2010, and CERN Limited was incorporated in November 2010. And what else was I going to show you with that? I won't bother showing it because you need the document. But when you search Harbottle and Lewis, which is on this company's incorporation document, you'll see it links with the research from the Kennedy family, the research of the assassination, and also from the research of what's his name, Junior Kennedy. I can't remember his first name, but you know who I mean. And it also links with the royal families. Okay, Harbottle and Lewis is one of the solicitors firms that the Charles was using previously. Peter Bennett Jones connects this company, Theatre PLC, to 47, including Playhouse companies. Okay, Playhouse links into the sex trade. They also link to Save the Children Fund, the Royal National Theatre, Comic Relief Limited, the Oxford Playhouse, making major connections throughout the research. That's coming in from the Stephen Fry company. Michael Victor Codron connects Theatre PLC, Theatre Share PLC, to 11 companies, including Hampstead Theatre Limited, making a connection to the Jewish Community Centre United Kingdom company that links to Madeleine McCann and key areas of the fraud, and it links with the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry as shown elsewhere in the document. That's obviously called the Hampstead Theatre. And now we know that Stephen Fry was actually born in the Hampstead area. This is shown elsewhere throughout the document. Charles John Cuthbertson Leveson connects Theatre PLC to 29 companies, including Queen's Park Rangers Football and Global Radio companies, which make it important connections in the research elsewhere. And the frequencies through the entertainment industry, and I think the cell towers, are going to be critical now in what their plans were, very likely using the frequencies, I believe, from all of my research now, to be able to control everybody through those frequencies. With or without the vaccines, I think the vaccines was an absolute deception, and the COVID situation was a complete deception to hide the harm that was being caused through the frequencies of cell towers and other technology. Okay, but I think the frequencies, the cell towers that they put in place, very likely primary goal for them is to control humanity through the frequencies. And a secondary method or plan regarding them is to use those frequencies to actually harm and reduce the population through those frequencies, which is absolutely possible, everybody. Okay. It's proven that sound, if you have the right frequency, it can cause harm to biological material. But if you use sound frequencies that are subliminally recognized by your brain subconsciously, then it's possible to program you and control you through those subliminal messages. All right. Now, anyone that doesn't think that's possible, let me just explain it as simply as I can. First of all, let's explain it with the visual subliminal messages, which no doubt they would have been doing for many, many years. So if you're watching a television program or a movie, okay, and they flicker an image quick enough in that screen, you're focusing on the program, your subconscious will take in those flickering images, okay? But your conscious is focusing on what you're watching, but your brain will still be programmed by the subconscious flickering image. The same is possible through sound. If that is done in such a frequency that you won't generally notice it because you're too busy listening to everything else around you, but subconsciously your body, if it's the right, your ears and your brain will take in that frequency message and program your brain using those frequencies. I'm almost certain now that is why the radio side of everything and the entertainment industry is so important in relation to this international government fraud, and why it's tying in with the crimes against children, the depopulation side of things, everything else that we're seeing all linking in now with this. And this, I think, is why Jimmy Savile was so important, because I think he's going to be linked into the Vatican. And of course, he was massively involved in radio, wasn't he? Okay, so frequencies again. And why else is this? What else is there? I mean, there's so much evidence now to suggest this is so important. And later, probably not tonight actually, but I've now got evidence linking the George Floyd supposed death into also the threat from the frequency agenda in all of this, okay, and to a criminal Bloodstock organization linking in with the NHS, which ties in with my visions, with my dreams, and linking in with my families, all three of my families again, and into what appears to be a satanic cult in all of this, okay? And we're going to show, I won't be showing that tonight, actually, because we're not going to have time. So where was I going to go with that? So now we've got a connection to football again. Now the football companies are massively part of this. Okay, the football company element allows the laundering of the money through those organizations and hiding it under the guise of footballers' wages. But also now it's now making a lot more sense now in all of this, okay, with the frequencies, because it gives them the ability to target large amounts of people using frequency technology in these crowds at venues, for sports facilities, venues, and also concerts, etc. And I think this is why you've got the Glastonbury Festival, one of the biggest festivals in the world, certainly in the UK, which is actually a criminal organisation, Glastonbury Festivals, okay, that was started with the same companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, which links back into the NHS. Okay, and the blood of the children appears to be huge in all of this, and I think that's why we've got this Bloodstock company that I'm going to show you when I look at the evidence of the newest evidence of George Floyd, probably in the next couple of days. So I think this frequency element and the cell towers is really, really important in all of this now. Okay, it's such a big part of this, and it is all really making a lot of sense now. So we have this link to a football company, but also global radio that has featured in my other research. Andrew Lloyd Webber is also shown as a former director for this company, Theatre Share PLC. They're all in on it, everybody. They're all in on it. Most people in the entertainment industry, most people that you see on the stage, politicians, MPs, stars, footballers, they are all in on it, okay? And they've all been very likely promised a place in the new world if they manage to control or remove most other people through their crimes. Then, of course, they will have their their space and their freedom in whatever it is they want to do. So they were appointed to this company. Andrew Lloyd Webber was appointed on the 17th of October 2001, which is just over a month after the World Trade Center disaster. So that's as the company was being created. Got two F's there. After the World Trade Center disaster, and he resigned in December 2002. Right, so you can see this all ties in with the World Trade Center disaster. The next year, he resigned from the company. Referring back to Stephen Fry, he also connects to Norwich City Football Club. So we have another football connection again. And that company was incorporated in 1919. And according to the overview, its name was changed for the only time in July 2002, which is obviously after the World Trade Center disaster and at no other time. It has a forged register and further important connections to the football industry and fraud. Actually, I will do a little bit of the George Floyd evidence because we're here. Okay, so yeah, this is really important. So hopefully some of you had already seen my other video the other night where I was talking about the evidence surrounding George Floyd. Well, somebody had suggested to me that they were actually connected prior to George Floyd's death. So I've done research surrounding that, and it does seem as though that is the case. Now, obviously, one bit of information might not support that. It could be someone's made that up as some sort of conspiracy. However, where the evidence leads is absolutely critical through the company's house records. So George Floyd, in January 2026, a contact suggested George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. So in other words, George Floyd was the man that was supposedly murdered, they're claiming, by Derek Chauvin, a police officer, with his knee on his neck, okay, in 2020. And that was in May 2020, whilst the whole COVID situation is going on. And they suggested that they'd actually worked together regarding security work and had been Freemasons at the same Freemasons Lodge. Now, I'd already seen in the research of George Floyd that he had, in fact, worked within the security industry. So research now supports what this person is saying, okay, that they actually knew each other and were connected. It supports this and suggests they were connected regarding security work at a company called El Nuevo Rodeo Club, with the article below saying, from CNN, Derek Chauvin and Floyd worked security at El Nuevo Rodeo Club down the street from Minneapolis, 3rd Precinct, according to Mayor Santa Maria, the club's former owner, who sold the venue within the last few months. Now, this article, I believe, is going to be quite soon after the death of Floyd, all right, which becomes critical with the evidence that we're going to be talking about in this, okay? So, remember this name, Mayor Santa Maria, because we come to that later. Floyd, who Santa Maria called a great guy, known for his big smile, often worked as an extra security guard on Tuesdays when the club held popular urban music nights, and Chauvin served as an off-duty police officer for the club for almost 17 years. Now, obviously, I've had to take this with a pinch of salt, but let's just have a look at it anyway. in case it's set up evidence. Someone's trying to create a problem. So this is the article. Oh, just to show it to you. So this was the initial question, and then there you go. You can see it here just to confirm it. There's a bit more information as well. Obviously, I've just put a little bit in there. Okay. So now if we go back to, remember that club, because that becomes important, which you're going to see now. So a search for El Nuevo Rodeo Club company's house through Google reveals Nuevo Club Limited that was incorporated as Neuro Club LT. I don't know what I've put there. How have I done that? We'll go into it anyway. On the 23rd of November 2016, before its name was changed 2 days later, it dissolved on the 9th of May 2024 as the exposure continued. Now, 2016 is when the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed again, remember? Okay. The filing history shows that there was no entry from the 29th of November 2019, just over a month before the first COVID outbreak, and the 26th of May 2020, the day after George Floyd supposedly died. Bradley Giles is shown on the People record. So let me just go into that because I'll be able to correct that. It looks like I made a little mistake in that first bit and what the company's name was. What was it before? Oh, Neuro. Okay, so it was called Neuro Club Limited. You can see there from 2016 for 2 days. 2 days it had that name, everybody. This is what they're doing. Okay, they're trying to avoid the accountability. This gives them the ability to launder money through that company, okay, within those 2 days, and then change the company name quickly, and that company doesn't technically exist as a legal entity anymore under that name. You see what they're doing. So for 2 days it had that name, extremely suspicious, and it dissolved as I continued to expose the fraud on the 9th of May 2024. Oh, let's just, how many people we got on here? 83. Not enough, but we'll keep going. They're limiting in all of my evidence now. So it really is. Any of you that are innocent on here, you really need to be recording this. I'm probably going to go through this again anyway another time, but I just wanted to get it out whilst I can. So if we go into the filing history, you can see that on the, here we go, 29th of November 2019, which is the month before the outbreak, is the last entry until the 26th of May 2020. Well, that is the day after George Floyd died, supposedly. Bradley Giles is shown in the People record. A separate search for Bradley Giles shows exact duplicate records, including one connecting to Giles Stanley Limited that was incorporated in March 2025 as the exposure continued. Christopher Patrick Stanley is the second director connecting to Body Burger Limited. Body Burger, everybody. Bearing in mind what we're talking about. And this is, where are we? Body Burger Limited that was incorporated in 2016 as the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed. And it is in the process of being struck from the register. Now, I'll just show you that. So if we go into the People record of the company we were looking at, the Nuevo Club. People record, there you go. Bradley Giles. When you go in, there's one other company. It's just linking into Uppingham Cabs. But when we do a duplicate search, you can see there's Bradley Giles there, July 1992. Or when we do the search of Bradley Giles here, you can see that this company shows the same date of birth, July 1992, same name, linking in with Giles Stanley Limited. And you can see they were appointed in 2025 to that company as the exposure continued. And the company actually started in March 2025. What's the nature of business? Development and building projects to do with real estate. And then if the record for Christopher Patrick, is it? There you go. Body Burger Limited. Appointed 2016. That is the exact month when the ritual took place at CERN at the Shiva statue, which represents creation and destruction. Now, this ties in with the falsified prophecies in all of this and the collider technology. Okay, so we have Body Burger is in our faces, everybody. Active proposal to strike off. All right, so as this is all being exposed and they're potentially realizing who I am in all of this, they're striking all companies from the register. And we have its takeaway food, event catering. So that's one record under that name, an exact duplicate record coming in from the research of George Floyd and Chauvin. The search for Bradley Giles also reveals Giles Bradley Limited that was incorporated in 2013 and has R.J. Holder and Co. and addresses in Cirencester, which is not far from my brother-in-law's family, who connect to the main Freemason company and to Jimmy Savile. The filing history shows that from February 2022, changes start to be made to the company. As I'm asking questions regarding Exborn Manor and when the special military operation is announced by Putin, which leads us into the falsified prophecies in all of this. Okay, with the wars and the conflicts. Giles Bradley Hayhurst is the only person in the People record and connects to 3 companies, including Window Link Limited, that was incorporated in 1985. The incorporation document cannot be viewed, but the filing history shows an entry from the 6th of November 1995, and the attached document links the company to Lloyds Bank PLC, that is hugely implicated in the fraud, linking to the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. And 1995 is the year of the incorporation of the Russian government, intelligence agency and royal family linked Hacklewitt International Advisory Board that also links to Lloyds Bank and quickly to my brother-in-law's family via Stephen Owens and Exborn Manor Freehold Limited connections as well. Should I try and show that to you? So if we go in here. Oh, is that a message? Bear with me. Oh, I'm not going to worry about checking it unless it's on here. No, I can't see the comments on here. Maybe my finger was over the thank yous. So we have this connection, Bradley Giles again, Giles Stanley. Let me just see where I was going with that. Bear with me. Oh, no, that's the other one. Yes, he's the only person recording the People and connects to 3 companies, including Window Link. Okay, so let's go into Window Link. Oh no, it was just. Oh, bear with me. It might be a. I think I've forgotten to do one of the other links. Let's go back into this. Connects Window Link. Let's get back. Giles Bradley is the only person in the People record and connects to 3 companies. The search for Bradley also reveals Giles Bradley Limited that was incorporated in 2013. Bear with me here. Search for Bradley Giles also reveals Giles Bradley Limited. Yeah, so that's... Oh, Bradley Giles Limited. That's why I'm getting confused. Bradley Giles Limited, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. That's what's confusing me. I had the names around the wrong. So Bradley Giles Limited, March 2013. So the year after CERN discovered the supposedly discovered the Higgs boson or God particle. And his name is Giles Bradley in this. So you can see they've switched the names here. So they put Bradley Giles, but it's Giles Bradley in the People record. He links to 3 companies. Now you've got Cirencester Party Shop. That's not far from my brother-in-law's house and far from my brother-in-law's family. Now I could go into those and probably find a lot more, but we're just going to stick with what I've got at the moment. You've got an address in Cirencester. Remember, my brother-in-law is linked to the main Freemason Lodge, Jimmy Savile. All of the crimes against humanity links in through the research. His name is Richard Timms. You know, I wouldn't normally like. I haven't got a choice. I need to expose everybody. So where are we going with that? So we've got the filing history shows changes. I'll just show you that quickly within the company. Filing history, 2022. Okay, you also have a change of address, December 2019. That's when the outbreak happened. In fact, that's 2 days before the first outbreak. Okay, just trying to have a look at any other changes here that I hadn't noticed earlier. So you've got a registered address change, like I said, 2 days before the first outbreak. And then as I'm starting to ask questions, is it here? Is it in this one? No. Dressing zone. Okay. February 2022. I must have been looking at another company. I need to check that. Doesn't look like it's that one. Got confirmation statement. It must be one of the other companies I was looking at around here. So I'll come back to that. Giles Bradley Hayhurst is the only person in the People record and connects to 3 companies, including Window Link Limited, that was incorporated in 1985. The incorporation document. Ah, that's why. Oh, weird. Yeah, that's why. I wasn't looking in the right company. So it's in this one, isn't it? In this one. Filing history. Is it this one? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's why. So you can see early 2022. Nothing until everything's generally normal. There's no changes being made until you get to 2022. Look, February 2022. That's a few days before Vladimir Putin announced his special military operation, and they start making changes. Registered address change, director's details changed, change of details of Mr. Giles Bradley. See all these changes happening, not before, after those key events start happening. It's all relevant. So if we go back into Window Link, and then from Window Link, and what you're going to see soon is absolutely mind-blowing what I've found coming in from this in a minute. I was going to show you the Lloyd's Bank link. Yeah, so it's the only person. So Window Link. Yeah, that's right. So the incorporation document cannot be viewed, but the filing history shows an entry from the 6th of November, 1995. So this is Window Link, filing history. 6th of November, 1995. I'll just have a look at these other changes. You've got changes again. Look, December 9, 2019 in this company. I think, oh, that's because we were looking at that. Sorry. 1995. This is a critical time, 1995. I'm just seeing if there's anything around 2001. Here we go. So further back. Here Here we go. 6th of November 1995. So I couldn't see the filing history, but when you go into this, and this is a critical time, you have a link to Lloyds Bank PLC. Okay, now that's critical. That link, that makes the connection now to the Royal Foundation, the Prince and Princess of Wales. Now that's, I think that's a criminal organisation, that actual company, I think. But Lloyds Bank do have criminal organisations as well. And what they do is they have some that are registered legitimately, and then some that are fraudulent criminal companies. And then they can just launder money, you see, through there, steal the money from anybody that's got any other, Lloyds Bank accounts. They can steal it from your accounts without you even knowing, and hide it. And because what they've got is a constant pot of money, you see, and they can just falsify all of the figures, and then they can just make it increase rates or whatever if they get low in the criminal money that they've got available to them. It's all fraudulent, everybody. So the whole entire system has been set up around this criminal organised network. It didn't need to be. It didn't need to be. It's because it's linked to the sex trade, to the crimes against humanity, to their addictions, and also it's linked to the religious establishments and their plan of a falsified apocalyptic event on Earth using their technology, which seems to be a vast amount of the money going into it. Now, I pray, like I keep saying at the moment, I pray that's a deception as a test and to bring people out to do the right thing. However, at the moment, I don't want to take that chance, so I've got to presume it's all real. Incorporation document, I've said that bit. Lloyds Bank, Shrewsbury Foundation, Princess of Wales. 1995 is the year of the incorporation of the Russian government-linked company, as I've said about that. Mark Sandal Hayhurst connects WindowLink Limited to International Artists Market Limited that was incorporated on the 15th of September 2020, almost a year to the day before the World Trade Center disaster. Jane Adey connects the company to 219, including Merry Christmas Limited, that was incorporated in 2008, Halloween Limited, and Footballers Limited. I just thought that's quite interesting. And we're actually going to find connections in a minute to potentially the deception within Christianity and how that ties in to Rome, okay, very likely into Saturnalia, or another historical sort of group going back further. But we do see a potential link to the falsification of Christianity as we go forward in this. Now, Jane Adey connects the company to 219, as I said, including Merry Christmas Limited. And there's a lot of other companies that haven't had a chance to mention because obviously it's 219. Referring back to Mark Sandal Hayhurst, he also connects to Noasis Limited that was incorporated in 1996 and has Kozek Limited. Remember, we mentioned the Olswang Kozak earlier. Well, now we have the Noesis Limited linking into Kozek Limited on its incorporation document. So let's go into that. So into WindowLink, and we need Sandal Hayhurst was the surname. And remember, we've already got the link to Lloyds Bank. And I acquired forged Lloyds Bank documents from Exbourne Manor. And when I was a child, I went with my friend's dad at night to a Lloyds Bank where he worked at night when it was closed for whatever reason. It's obviously to do with this. I remember going there. So here's Noesis Limited. Oh. And you can see it was incorporated in 1996 on the lead up to the International World Trade Center disaster deception against humanity. Fact. It's a fact, everybody. That's 100%. It's all to do with this. Now, I pray that, it looks as though that really happened. So we have Kozek Limited in the People record. And they were appointed for 1 day. Just having a look where this goes. A couple of spelling mistakes. Oh. Now, we're going to see a link to, if you'll have the document, you'll be able to see the full link, but there's a link to Mikey P from the Rapid Response Team in a minute, okay? Which then links back into my family. He's the one that threatened to steal my home and my family. He's also got a name of Michael P. Poit. I can never remember. It's a funny surname, which appears to be linking into the research that I've just done recently as well. Same surname, it appears. So he's probably using another alias name. He's the one who threatened to steal my motorhome, and obviously they ended up stealing it in the end and stealing my home. So we've got, he connects to, notice Kozik Limited, was incorporated on the incorporation document and the people record, where it connects to over 1,500 companies, including the Union Railway Limited, that was incorporated on the 27th of August 2009, not long before the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, and was incorporated. I always forget the R in there for some reason. And dissolved on the 2nd of July 2019, 4 days before Jeffrey Epstein was apparently arrested, and on the lead up to the COVID deception. It has an address in Edinburgh, which is where the oldest active Freemason lodge is based. Kozik Limited, which we're going to look at in a minute, also connects to Edinburgh College and Edinburgh Festivals. McDonald Realty Limited, which it says it's linked to restaurants in the company description. Monster Supplement Store, and that's because Monster Worldwide ties in with the research of King Charles. We have hacker secure checkout companies, literally hacking, checking out. This is all tying into this research. Isles of Loch Lomond. Now, it was actually, some of you may have seen my Dunblane massacre evidence research recently, where I had information that Thomas Hamilton was a procurer of children for the likes of Madeleine McCann. There was a suggestion for the likes of, Gerald McCann. There was a suggestion that they were taking the children to Lochs, islands on Lochs in Scotland. And it was actually Loch Lomond. I forgot to mention that in my previous research. But here we are. We now have an island of Isles of Loch Lomond company coming in from this, linking into McDonald's restaurants, it seems. The research from the Edinburgh Music Festival goes to Michelle Mone and the royal family. Here we have Edinburgh Festivals. It also links into counselling. Oh, this is all coming from Kozik. Okay, all coming in from Kozik. Oh, that should have one M, I believe. No, it's got to be a U, isn't it? I'll come back to that anyway. I'll check that. Counselling and psychotherapy services in Cheltenham Limited. Now, Cheltenham's not far away from my brother-in-law's family, again, in Cirencester area. Balfour Safety Consultants Limited. So that will make the link to the Balfour Declaration and Balfour Beatty, which goes back to the Rothschilds. S&S Stonemasons Limited. Now, the Freemasons originated from stonemasons. We have Lewis MacLeod. That's back to front. MacLeod Limited, which I suspect is going to link in with Donald Trump's mother, who was a MacLeod family, and she lived on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. And I've done loads more research in relation to that, 100% linking into it. But interestingly, we have a Murray company, bearing in mind what I've just said about the Dunblane massacre, the Murray family. So, what's his name? Andy Murray, who is a famous tennis player, supports that. The research from him links almost immediately that I've already done into the Satanic Temple United Kingdom. His mum connects into massive areas of the fraud, back into actually Donald Trump's golf course with Trump's name in it. Okay. And that then links around that area to, what's her name? Oh, Candace Owens, Charles Kirk, Farmer, George Farmer, who is Candace Owens' husband, all linking in. So now we have a Murray linking coming in from, this is all coming in from that research, okay? Coming in from the research of the George Floyd supposed death. We also have a company called, literally coming in from Kozek, the final company to be E, and then this is funny, they put a capital E hyphen incorporated in Scotland under the Companies Act of 1985 Limited, that was incorporated on the 30th of September 2009. This is the day after the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated, and that connects most areas of the fraud. So that was, they've literally put it as the final company to be incorporated in Scotland under the Companies Act 1985 Limited, incorporated on that date. So that shows you how important that is, because they've actually got the last company that was incorporated on that date before the new act changed, coming in from the George Floyd murder. Linking in with this Kozek. Now, there's also, which I've skipped over, Kozek also links to, there's a name record that links to literally the Reform Party Limited, I think it is. Well, that name that links to that and that company links almost immediately to the research of Mikey P from the Rapid Response Team. All right, the person, as I've said, threatened to steal my motorhome and my home. And there's loads of connections coming in from the Rapid Response. Trevor Meelan, which is why my wife's dad directed me towards Trevor Meelan when he was part of the Transparency Task Force, and they set up a whole deception to make me believe they were dealing with an element of the fraud, but it was a cover, it was a deception. And they used, they even did an article involving Noel Edmonds and claiming billions of pounds have been defrauded from people through Lloyd's Bank mortgage. It was all a deception to cover this. So Trevor Meelan's massively implicated in this, and then he actually joined the Rapid Response Team. He became part of that, and so did what was her name? Her name's gone out of my head now. Laura Nina. And I had information that Laura Nina was acting on behalf of the Sicilian Mafia, which I now suspect is really going to be true, and was providing information that was acquired from her supporters and her followers to Donna Jones. And Donna Jones was the Police and Crime Commissioner for Hampshire and Isle of Wight. And Donna Jones links massively back into the international government fraud, the crimes against children, the crimes against humanity, all tying in with the Vatican and everything I'm exposing. So this company literally, okay, so this company they've actually said it was the last company that was incorporated, I've said, in Scotland under that act. And that company was incorporated on the 30th of September 2009, which is, as I've said, the day after the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated on Companies House and links most areas of the fraud. And that company links to my families, those that I grew up with, which then links back in with David Icke and Donald Trump and Julian Assange and a doomsday cult and everything that I am talking about. Jamie Stewart McMeekin connects the company to over 2,600 companies. So that's the one we're talking about. Let's go into it, actually. Which one's this? What's this I've got here? Open link. I think this is it. Yeah, here we go. So the final company to be incorporated in Scotland under the Companies Act 1985 Limited. You can see, I'll just show you this actually. You can see the date there, incorporated 30th September 2009. If I go into the Royal Foundation, I'll just show you this quickly. Please record this if you can. I hope you can all hear me. I'm going to be doing it again anyway. I need to go through this again. The Royal Foundation of the Prince. And this is so important because it's where Companies House was based. So this links pretty much all areas of the fraud. You can see it was incorporated the day before. Okay, 29th of September 2009. And then in October, within 2 or 3 weeks after this, they repealed Section 10 of the 2006 Fraud Act. In other words, they removed Section 10 so that it wasn't applicable, and that related to corporations. So that meant they thought that meant they could commit crime against humanity in relation to this agenda and the collider technology, and funnel all of the money through into what I'm talking about in all of this. And this company links most areas of the fraud together. And it's no coincidence that within 2 weeks prior to this company being incorporated, I became a director of Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Let's have a look at the date, actually. So you can see 29th September 2009 here. And I presumed it was a legitimate company. I think this was all planned, everybody. They know, I'm pretty sure they know something about me. I'm pretty sure. All of the evidence suggests that. Otherwise, it wouldn't all be around me like this. Linking in with the Vatican and everything. Okay, Exbourne Manor Freehold. Let's see if that comes up. So that's 29th of September. So you can see it was incorporated in 2007. If you go into the people record, you can see my name. Actually, I'll look at the filing history, see if there's been any changes recently. It'd be interesting. So they put me to the bottom. I wasn't at the bottom previously. Here you go. So I became a director on the 13th of September 2009. Okay, you can see that there. So a few days before that company was incorporated. You can see where they removed me on the 1st of 2023. Interesting. They've actually removed my occupation. Unless it's in here. Yeah, they've removed my occupation. That's interesting. It did say police sergeant. So they have removed that fairly recently. That's interesting. Why have they done that? That's very interesting. Okay. Let's have a look at the filing history. Just see if there's been any interesting changes recently. Oh, so we've got a 19th of December. You can see some of the directors changing their details. Diane Bisson, as they were worried. So you can see she changed some of her details. As the exposure was continuing. So nothing really significant in terms of changes. But they have, interestingly, removed my occupation. So I wonder what they're planning. There must be a reason they've done that. Okay, so let's go back to it. Possibly because they were going to unalive me in prison. It could be they were hoping to murder me. And I suppose they didn't want that link to, oh, that person that's been murdered was a police officer. It's possible that that was why they removed it. So, James Stewart McMeekin of that company connects the company to over 2,600, including the Reform Party. Okay, so this is where it links to the Rapid Response Team. So I'll just go into this. So his name is McMeekin. $2,600 companies. I think it's on this first page, actually. Save me going too far in. This proves to you that all of the parties are involved. There is no democracy, everybody. They have been literally pulling the wool over your eyes for years. And mine. There you go. You've got the Reform Party Limited. And they were appointed to the company for 1 day during the outbreak. Okay, a few days before the outbreak. So it was all planned. The outbreak was planned, everybody. 100%. 100%. And it's to do with the cell towers, I'm almost certain now, and the frequencies. So this actual particular Reform Party company, now they'll have others, was incorporated in December and dissolved in 2021, as you can see. A search for mayor. Now remember that name, mayor, was the former former owner of the club where Chauvin and Floyd had worked. Okay, the former manager. So a search for that name, a search for mayor, the name on the internet appears to a search for mayor Tantamaria, sorry, that appears to have provided the information regarding Floyd and Chauvin, shows someone of the same name being connected, being the owner of KMNQ, a commercial radio station licensed to Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and serving the Twin Cities radio market. Citing the COVID-19 pandemic and equipment updates, KMNQ went silent for an extended period of time beginning in March 2020, literally just before George Floyd's death. KMNV itself went silent on May the 27th after its studios were burned during the George Floyd protests. This is interesting. Now we've got a link to a premises burned in the protest and to George Floyd, which the protest was stemmed from, and to Chauvin via this previous owner of this club that they actually both were linked to, according to this research. In August 2024, as the exposure continued, the station stopped its long-running simulcast of KMNV and began playing more romantic Spanish music. Interesting. Is this because of my exposure changing everything? Where they were literally trying to do something to humanity and realized when the exposure happened, they must stop their plans. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. So let me just show you the Wikipedia in relation to this. You'll see his name on this, and then we're going to see where this leads. It's critical where this leads. So here's the KMNQ company, and you can see it relates to radio channels, and you can see it began stunting with a variety format before leaving the air entirely in early 2022 initially, as I'm making the inquiries and when everything's happening around Exbourne Manor in the early inquiries, and then they started up again. They returned in January 2023, and you can see the name here, Mayor Santa Maria, the same name that links George Floyd to Chauvin, Derek Chauvin. So we now have a link to the threat potentially of frequencies and directed energy via this in company. And I won't worry about going into too much else on this bit. Just what's that bit at the bottom there? The transmitter is located in Brooklyn Park. It says its power is 5,000 watts using a directional antenna to protect other stations. I'll probably go do a bit more research on this, but I need to get the document out. So a company sales search for KMNQ brings up KMNQ attached to Ajana Investment UK Limited. It was incorporated as GI Quajana Investment UK Limited on the 20th of October 2020, 5 months after Floyd's apparent death. And its name was changed in September 2023 as the exposure continued. It is shown as being in the process of being struck from the company's house register. The filing history shows that this funny name, sorry, I don't mean to say funny, it's just I won't be able to pronounce it, Zaman Mohammed Nazib was removed as a director on the 2nd of January this year, so a few days ago, as the exposure continued. So we're just going to go into this. So here you got the KMNQ and then the added bit afterwards. Now I would say that's not going to be related. However, look where it leads. Now the company is in the being proposed to be struck from the register. It was incorporated 2020, same year as the George Floyd incident. Okay, not that long after it. And you can see it changed its name as I was exposed in the fraud, September 2023. There is a duplicate record for that name, that person. Remember, so let me just show you the filing history. So this person, you see, they removed them literally a few days ago. You'll see it there. 2nd of January 2026. Termination of this person. Okay. Duplicate record for this person within the people record. And they're the only name that connects to another company called KMN Infinity UK Limited, where they were appointed in July 2024, as I was exposing the adrenochrome, and which is the blood from the tortured children, and its connection to the fraud. The company was incorporated as T2H Infinity UK Limited on the 22nd of June 2020, less than a month after George Floyd's apparent death. It is shown as being in the process of being struck from the register. So let me just go into that and show you. And this is mind-blowing where this is going to lead in a minute, okay? You're going to see it linking into criminal bloodstock agents, bloodstock companies. Okay, in other words, a blood storage, I would think, which is criminal linking to the NHS. But I might have to do it another day. So we've got a duplicate record. Here's one where you can see there's only one company under this name. But if you go into the duplicate record, which is somewhere down here, we have a second company, KM Infinity UK, again being struck from the register, incorporated June 2020, within a month of the George Floyd murder. You can see the name changed. Now, if we go into, if we go into this, I'll just better check my notes. Shown as being struck from the register. A duplicate record for them. Notice there's a duplicate record for that name within the company, connects to Global Infinity Investment Limited. So there's another duplicate record they've created for that name, Global Infinity Investment Limited, that was incorporated on the 25th of July 2019, not long after Jeffrey Epstein's alleged death, and it dissolved in April 2020. As I'm making inquiries at Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. So if we go into this company again, we'll see another connection. There we go. Another duplicate record, which connects to 4 companies now. See how they're doing this? I hope you can hear me. So we have these global companies, Global Infinity, incorporated 25th of July, the year that the Large Hadron Collider was, the month actually, it was conducting the experiment, and then it conducted one 3 years later for the first time after it had a load of maintenance on the 5th of July 2022, which was 3 days before I approached Anthony Roberts. Okay, so this was a few days after Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested on the 6th of July 2019, and then it dissolved in April 2022. Now it's called Global Infinity Investment. A separate search for Global Infinity reveals Global Infinity Limited, having been incorporated in 2004, being related to education and linking immediately to major areas of the fraud by Dorothy May Graham and Company, and an address of 61 Fairview Avenue, Wigmore, Gillingham, Kent, not far from my mother's address on its incorporation document. So here's the record of Global Infinity Limited. So this is coming in from George Floyd, now linking in with the connections close to my family again, which remember links in with David Icke and the Doomsday Cult and everything that I'm telling you about. If we look at the filing history and look at the incorporation, on there, Dorothy May Graham, 61 Fairview Avenue, Wigmore, Gillingham, Kent. Literally less than 5 minutes from where my mum lives. Okay, you can see Gillingham, Kent there, and there's Graham and Company. I haven't looked further down on this one. Sometimes you see some other company connections, but no, it looks as though it's just going to be that. Now, that makes major connections throughout the fraud. Naomi Sese connects that company to 6 companies, including Brand New Start Limited. Now, this is very positive. Okay, Brand New Start. We had New Beginning, I found, didn't I, in the research from the shooting the other day. Now we've got Brand New Start. We've got New Beginning. Really positive signs in all of this. That was incorporated in March 2019 on the lead up to the COVID deception and is shown as being in the process of being struck from the register. It has Peter Velatis, I've put the word twice, in the people record that connects to almost 1,900 companies and connects to information regarding the Vatican via Deborah Evershed and other significant areas of the research in my document. So we now get the link to the evidence I've got of the Vatican and back into the blood of the children via this company, okay, because of this link that's made to this. Natalie, now just see where this goes now, it's just mind-blowing. Natalie Francis Wade connects Brand New Start Limited to Black Theatre Cooperative, spelling wrong there. Oh my goodness. Cooperative Limited, where they were appointed in November 2009, not long after the incorporation of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. And this company was incorporated in 1984. There are major connections back into the fraud from here via the entertainment industry. All right, remember, this is a theatre company. It's called Black Theatre Cooperative. Interesting, because I've recently found a Black World Economic Forum company. Now, bearing in mind that I've got the links very closely to here to the Black Nobility via Sasha Stone, okay, which links in from this name, Peter Velatis. It links into the research of Sasha Stone, who I have evidence suggests links to the Black Nobility. And now we have the Black organization here, and there's a Black World Economic Forum company that I've recently found, okay, coming in from the research, which is also going to be in the document. And you'll know from my previous research that theatres feature at key times. You've got the Duke of Edinburgh Theatre that links into the research that I've done around the mass shootings and murders, and you've also got other theatre connections. I'm trying to think of one specifically, but there's quite a few. You've got the Royal Theatre, Royal something Theatre. I can't remember what it's called. That features all the way through my research. So theatre's a massive part of this. So referring back to Sese, this same person, director, they also connect to Billionaires Lady Club Limited, that was incorporated, forgot the R again, in 2008 and dissolved in 2010, the same year that CERN Limited was incorporated. 2008 is also the year that the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva was first activated, okay? It is a criminal company with David Temple and Jordan's Limited on its incorporation document. The same company as Exborn Manor Freehold Limited. Now I'm gonna actually show you this bit because you'll see how critical this now becomes. So within the global infinity, we need to get to Naomi Sese. Okay, so into global infinity, people record, Naomi Sese, 6 companies, Brand New Start. We've already looked at. Okay, we went into that. Billionaires Ladies Club Limited, okay, incorporated 2008, same year that the Large Hadron Collider was activated, dissolved in May 2010, the same year that the CERN Limited was incorporated on Companies House. And I'm going to show you this because this is absolutely mind-blowing, this next bit. Oh yeah, so we're going to see David Temple and Jordan's Limited on its incorporation document. We're just going to show you that first before I show you the really interesting elements in this. So the incorporation document, David Temple. Okay, and we're going to see more connections to Temple in a minute. And further down, Jordan's Limited. So a criminal organisation. Okay, criminal organisation. Billionaires. Billionaire Ladies Club. Go into the people record. It's this name, I think. 15 companies, including Temples UK Limited, Temples Norwich, Temple Wicks. Okay, well, if we go into Temples UK, I'll just show you this quickly. It was incorporated in 1995, the same year as the Russian intelligence agency linked and royal family linked Hackler International Advisory Board. It's originally called Temples Estate Management till 2003. And this is I believe, a criminal organisation with the same companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Here we go. Swifting Corporations Limited. Same as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. I suspect this is a forged document. And there underneath you can see, oh, it's interesting, they've crossed out Limited. They haven't done that on the, yeah, so this is a forged document. Almost certain they've forged that there. And there you go, you've got Jordan and Sons Limited. Let's have a quick look, actually, because they've got some other names on the bottom of this one. Sometimes they don't. Morgan's Way, Henningham. Interesting. There you go, David Leonard. Temples Limited. What does that say? Turnkey home equity business. Expansion. Okay, no others there. Temples UK, I mean incorporated. Again, I mean, my brain just doesn't want to put that R in, does it? Gareth Raymond Carter connects Temples UK Limited. Here we go. Right, now I suspect this is where we're talking Christian deception, potential symbolism. Okay, so listen up and watch this bit quite carefully. Bearing in mind we've come in from Temples. We've come in from the research. We're not far away at all. If you were to literally put this, you'll see how close we are to the research of Chauvin, Derek Chauvin, and George Floyd. Now, if we go into, what was the name? I've forgotten the name one now. Gareth Raymond Carter. Interesting. Carter was the same surname in another connection, wasn't it? Now, I haven't gone into all of these other companies yet. I'll probably find some very interesting stuff in there. I just had a quick look through, and this is really, really quite interesting. So, first of all, you've got exploits, almost rubbing it in our faces, exploits humanity through the system of crime. But look at this. Son and Son Limited. S-O-N, as in a son, father and son, and then son, as in the sun is shining. Now, there's a lot of evidence about the Christian deception surrounding whether it relates, the sun really relates to the Son of God or the worshipping of the sun. Now, this will link into Saturnalia in all of this, but, you know, this in itself, okay, you know, maybe there's nothing in this, maybe there isn't. But look at this. Okay, so this company was incorporated in 2014. It dissolved as I continued the exposure. Let me just look at my notes. They were appointed to that company in 2017 after the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed. So this is coming in from that person that linked to it, and Trump had been positioned. The company had been incorporated in 2014, as I just showed you, and dissolved in 2023 as the exposure continued. This could be relevant to the deception around Christianity, because Timothy Thomas Sunderland connects Sun and Sun Limited to Exploits Limited we've already seen, that was also dissolved in 2024, but also they link to Allen Bloodlines Limited. Okay, and this is where it gets incredibly important. Now, I haven't even gone into everything yet. Allen Bloodlines Limited, okay, in itself, potentially not significant. Incorporated in 1990. Oh, let's go back. Oh, where is it? Incorporated in 1990, a key year, okay, the year after the World Wide Web was created for CERN, leading up to the falsified prophecies agenda in everything, in all of this, okay. David Icke coming out in 1991 saying the world will be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis. Just having a look at these other name changes at the bottom here. So it changed its name again, look, in 1990. And then not again until 2008, when the Large Hadron Collider was activated for the first time that year. And honestly, that's right, I've forgotten. I just need to remind myself. Now, on the incorporation document, this is absolutely critical. Now, when you have my document, you'll be able to see exactly why it's so critical. But I'll explain it. So on the incorporation document, you have the name of Sundar Mansakhani. That name links almost directly to the NHS, okay, via the research. But it also links to the research of Max Clifford, Douglas Smith, who's the special advisor for the last few prime ministers, that's been arrested for threats to kill, that has started up fever sex parties, and that supposedly, according to Nadine Dorries, practices the dark arts, okay? And it links to the links of Jeffrey Epstein as well surrounding that. The incorporation document appears to be forged, okay? You can see that the line behind the company name at the top here is missing. You can see it starts here across the right hand side there, and then suddenly it disappears. So it's as if they've stuck a sticker over an existing company name that was there underneath that. All of the rest of the document is consistent. It's in line. It's there's no lines missing. It's all uniform and correct, other than the company name. And here's an even better example of it. Okay, where they've changed the company name after it, so that would have had another name there, I suspect. Okay, it links to one of the main companies in the fraud, Stanley Davis Company, which is actually mentioned on the research of what's his name? Gone out of my head. Gordon Bowden, who was ex-military and identified the non-verification element of the company's house fraud. Was unalived. Okay, that he was murdered. So again, that could be a deception. Maybe he wasn't murdered, but that's what I've been told by somebody that was literally sat next to him in a meeting, and that meeting had been arranged by Sasha Stone, which links to the Vatican again. Okay, now it's going to get a lot more interesting now as we go through this a little bit. Well, a bit more interesting. So we have Sundar Mansakhani, we have Stanley Davis Group, which appears to be a forged register. This makes almost immediate connections, as I've said, to the NHS, Max Clifford, Douglas Smith, and other major areas of the research as shown elsewhere in the document. David George Walters Allen connects this bloodlines companies to 9 companies, including Federation of Bloodstock Agents, GB Limited, that was incorporated in 1978. The filing history shows an entry on the 1st of January 1995 with a document showing that it is a criminal company with a London law agency of 84 Temple Chambers, Temple Avenue on it, making major connections throughout the fraud to my families, my dreams, my visions, and the apparent infiltration of the royal family. So I'm just going to go into that and show you. So we want to look at David George Allen and into Allen Bloodlines Limited. Allen George Walters. Just trying to think if that's names relevant, actually. David James Waters. George Waters. Anyway. Balmoral as well. So that becomes relevant with the potentially the royal family links. I haven't gone into that, but there's going to be something relevant in this. Just have a quick look. Balmoral's in Scotland, where they have one of their royal residents. Okay, nothing obvious unless I go into one of the other companies. Federation of Bloodstock Agents, GB Limited. Incorporated 1978, 7 years after the creation of the World Economic Forum. It says other service activities elsewhere classified. On the filing history. Now, the incorporation document wasn't there. Well, sorry, there was an incorporation document, but it didn't show much. So I then looked into another document. So I'll show you the incorporation document just here, certificate of incorporation. So this wasn't anything particularly important or relevant on this, but the other document is absolutely critical, which is 1995 again, because that will link in with the Hacklow International Advisory Board. Yeah, that's when it was incorporated, linking the Russian government to the intelligence agencies in all of this. And to the royal family again. Interesting. Look. So we've got a change from a Cirencester address again. Near my brother-in-law. Just trying to find the documents. Here we go. So this is the document, and there in the corner you have the London Law Agency, a criminal organisation, and you can just about make it out. Temple Chambers, Temple Avenue in London. That then links, and you can see at the bottom there as well, look. Temple Chambers. Now that links to my visions and my dreams, like I've said, which links to key parts of the fraud. It also links immediately to Tommy Robinson, this particular company, and the address specifically links immediately to Tommy Robinson Research. Just having a quick look what else is on here. Bloodstock Agent, Lofts Hall, Elmdon, Essex. Bloodstock Agent. Many other Bloodstock companies are connected to the directors of Bloodstock Agents GB Limited and David John Luke Redvers, spelling mistake, connects the company to Qatar companies, making a link back to the leader of Qatar, who was educated in Sherborne in Dorset, and making important connections to the Israel attacks on the 7th of October 2023, the Manchester Arena bombing, and other major areas of the fraud. So we have the link from the Blood now, this company, the Blood criminal Bloodstock company, linking to Qatar, the leader of Qatar, who was educated in Sherborne. Referring back to Sun and Sun Limited, David John Watson connects to 9 companies, including Epstein Court Freehold Limited. Epstein Court Freehold Limited, where they had been appointed in January 2011, the month before the Christchurch earthquake in New Zealand, which is all related to this. And they resigned in March 2024 as the exposure continued. The company was incorporated on the 4th of September 2007, a few days after Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited. Rendell and Rittler, it has Rendell and Rittner as its registered address, and this is relevant around Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited. Again. and it has Waterloo Company on its incorporation document. Now, that's all as far as I've got with that at the moment, but that's coming in from George Floyd and Chauvin. Now, that pretty much, along with the other evidence, proves that George Floyd is not going to have died. All right, almost guaranteed, unless he was set up and he was willing to be part of a sacrificial event, and they killed him as part of some sort of sacrifice during that event. That's possible, I suppose. Unlikely, which means if he didn't die, then of course you're talking major deception upon everything else that's probably going on in all of this. But we still have the criminal network, the criminal fraudulent financial system in place that cannot go on. So I'm going to leave it at that anyway. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to possibly do another live in the next few days, but tomorrow I'm going to try and get up reasonable time and hit the document early, get some of this into the document, because at the moment this is on a separate app, because I'm trying to stop them infiltrating the information through the document creator, which is what they're trying to do. They're actually trying to infiltrate the evidence as I'm creating it to probably stop me getting it out to people. So I'm trying to prevent that by doing it in a certain way. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I hope so. So tomorrow, full-on day, getting this all into the document and sending that out to everybody that's emailed me. If you haven't already emailed me, please do it. The document is the most critical thing in all of this. My email address is Gary the Truth Sets Us Free @gmail.com. That's Gary with one R. The Truth Sets Us Free @gmail.com. Or you can use, and now I don't know how to attach the document, so I would go with the Gmail or send it to both. The other one is Gary Time for Freedom @proton.me. That's Gary Time for Freedom @proton.me. The first one again, it's Gary The Truth Sets Us Free @gmail.com. That's Gary The Truth Sets Us Free @gmail.com. And the other one is Gary for Freedom @proton.me. Okay, so it's one R in my name in all of that. I haven't been able to see any of the comments. I do apologize. I would normally go and do a little live now on my TikTok channel so anyone can speak and ask questions. But I need to get some sleep so that I can get up a reasonable time to really crack on with the document tomorrow. So hopefully I'll do a live in the next few days and we can have a conversation and answer any questions, etc. Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate you coming on tonight. And I hope some of you have recorded some of this, because, you know, they're just probably going to remove this from YouTube. Thanks very much. Take care. All the best. Bye.